Hey guys, it's Ian, and today we're reviewing the Porsche GT4 on the drive. Now, to kick off with, I want to concentrate a little on the front bumper and the front spoiler. You can probably see in these photos that the front bumper is considerably larger than the one used on the Cayman GTS. Now, there are principally two reasons for this. One is to incorporate the much larger radiators required for additional cooling, and the second one is because it needs additional downforce, and this spoiler is extremely low. In fact, it may well be the lowest front spoiler on any production car available today. I'd be very interested to know if you guys can come up with another car from a standard manufacturer, from a standard production line, that has a spoiler as low as that. Now, you can also see in the front, they've actually incorporated in the actual spoiler itself an extra grille with a radiator below it. That is a telltale sign of all products from the Porsche GT department in Weissach. So if we come round the car, it has as standard the Porsche Sports wing mirrors, and it has as standard xenon headlights, which on a car with this sort of performance are very necessary. So we walk round the car. It has the GT3 derived wheels with the 5 lugs rather than the centre spinner, so not entirely GT3 but certainly the same type of alloy. On the side here we have the air scoops, again to provide additional air for the engine. And on the air scoops we have GT4. I rather like that. I think that's very subtle. Now you can probably also see, and I'll talk about this with the suspension, but you can also see that both the front and the rear wheels are set out between 13 and 16 millimeters front and rear to provide better stability. And you can see how far, especially with the rear wheels, how far at the edge of the bodywork they actually are. I think that lends, if you come back, I think that actually lends a very aggressive and purposeful look to the car. And the other thing I like about the car is, look how low it is. So it's 30 millimeters, which is 3 centimeters lower than the standard Cayman GTS on which it is based. Now you can get the sports pack on the GTS, which lowers it, I believe, another 10 millimeters, but this car, the front wheels, the wings are practically on top of the front wheels, and even at the rear it's very low. So we'll come round to the back of the car, and at the back of the car we have 2 spoilers. Now again, I'll talk about this a little bit when I talk about the suspension system and the aerodynamics, but we have a multi-adjustable rear spoiler. Now it's set in one of the higher downforce positions, but you can actually have it set up to provide even more downforce on a windy circuit where you need maximum downforce round the corners, or you can have it flatter to make sure that it reaches its top speed on the straights. Again, we have a rear diffuser which is significantly larger than the standard Cayman GTS, and 2 central exhaust pipes which make the most wonderful sound. And in one of the other videos we've done, you can hear quite clearly how wonderful the exhausts on this car sound. And I talk a little bit about not really understanding why people put different exhaust systems on the car, because I don't know of a more beautiful sound. I mean, you probably know at SS8000 cars we have a Speciale 458 Speciale on board. I have to say, I believe this car sounds every bit as good in a slightly different way. We have a bottom lip spoiler built actually into the lights as well, also to provide downforce not adjustable clearly. And then we have the rear lights, which incorporate the indicators. The white parts here are the indicators, the center is your reversing light, and then at the top here is your high brake light, which you can see quite clearly glinting there actually in the sunlight. Okay, and now we'll move on to the suspension system. So what we have at the front here are GT3 derived suspension parts almost entirely, which are split wishbones and larger wheel bearings. And this has allowed the car to given the weight is about 150 kilos to 200 kilos less than the GT3, gives a wonderful precise feeling to the way that the car steers into a corner. Now the rear suspension, although it is it's based on the GT3, it has struts rather than a multi-link arrangement. So as a consequence of that, not quite as sophisticated as the GT3, but what the GT4 does have, it actually has adjustable camber shims. Now what they allow you to do is they allow you to manually, you have to raise the car obviously, but manually you can set this car up to have different settings, suspension settings on the front to the way that it's set up on the rear. And that is really to try, everybody has a different driving style, and that is really to give people the opportunity to set the car up the way they want. And I'm hoping that when we get this on the track, all this is really evident in the way that it drives, because certainly on the road, even although it's lowered 30 millimeters from the standard car, there's a compliance to the suspension system that make it completely usable. As standard, the car comes with an electronically controlled limited slip differential and also electronic assisted power steering, and this is the best electronic system I've ever experienced in a car. Absolutely precise, rides the bumps, gives you masses of feedback so you know where the front wheels are, which allows you to point the car extremely accurately, especially when going round tight corners. Porsche actually know that 4 out of every 5 GT owners will use this car, well not just this car but all the GT products on a circuit, but they also actually like driving to the circuit and driving back from the circuit. So what is important is the car's ability to absorb the bumps on a normal road, which we have touched on earlier, is exceptional for this type of car. It's very easy and comfortable to drive this car on the road, even a little bit firm. But personally, I like a firm suspension, and therefore I'd say this car is pretty much set up the way I'd like it to be. Amazing thing is that they've just taken the GT3 brakes, which have, as you probably know, the GT3 is a much heavier car than the GT4, and they've just taken them and they've put them on the GT4. So the GT4 is something like 1340 kilos with all the fuels and oils, or 1250 without. So comparatively, by today's standards, that's extremely light. Something like the Speciale would be about 1340 kilos, again with petrol and oil, but that's a stripped out car. I mean, if you sit inside the Speciale, as I'm sure you've heard me report before, there are no carpets, no soundproofing. Everything about that car is as light as it possibly can be, and the Speciale is clothed in aluminium and carbon fiber, whereas they use aluminium in places on the GT4, but essentially it's a steel based machine. So I think to achieve something like 1340 with all the oils and fuel is a remarkable achievement. I think Andreas Pruninja, who's the boss of the Weissach GT department, has said that they've really achieved wonderful things with this car in terms of the focus that they wanted for it, which was track and road, but also in terms of the ability to shoehorn the 911 Carrera S engine into the back of the car, because as you know, this is a mid-engine car, so it has the engine behind the front seats. There are no rear seats. I mean, much the way the Ferrari is. The Ferrari's engine is on display, as you probably know, whereas on the GT4 you can't really see the engine. Sorry, you can't see the engine at all. And if I just open the car up for a second and flick the boot release, I'm pushing the wrong bit there, you'll see that there's no sight of any engine, but you can take my word for it, the engine is under here and accessible from underneath the car, presumably. But it's a very practical car, this. It has a boot in the front under the bonnet, and it has a boot in the rear here, and there are a number of storage compartments throughout the car for storing your belongings. So it'd be a very practical car for two people to go away on holiday in, and we shall certainly do that. We like the looks of the car. I think the black exhausts are very purposeful, and the car generally sounds really nice. We're very, very, very pleased with it. I don't know how much of this you'll see, but if I start the car up, you'll get an impression of what it's like. Heard that. Obviously we will take the car out and about fairly soon, and I'll rig the cameras up so you can come with us. But so far we're incredibly impressed with the car. So if we get in it, this particular one is pretty highly spec'd. You can see it's a mix of carbon fiber on the dash and on the doors, and then also carbon fiber on the surround on the central console. It's got the chrono pack, which is, you can see with this dial in the middle for timed lap times and linking to your computer, and then it has the management screen, the management information screen in the center of the car. But you also, very much like the Macan Turbo, you have the ability to be able to bring that up onto the third dial that's in front of you. So if I flick through the different options you have on the third dial, you'll see eventually I come to the sat nav. And the sat nav can be quite useful, that actually, especially when you're following directions, to have it in front of you than slightly over to the side. You can see it's also come up on the center dash. But on the center dash you have all your car information. So basically you have your travel time and your distance and your consumption and your speed. Obviously the date and the time and the range based upon the petrol that's in the tank and the temperature. This is obviously for each journey, this particular screen, so the second screen, and then the third screen is overall. And then it's a comfortable car. We've got leather dash, so all this is leather with contrast stitching, which is nice. We've got Alcantara underneath the carbon fibre, which is covering the glove compartment, and then obviously you can see it's covering the doors, and then we have leather and Alcantara on the seats. Now these are the standard sports seats, which we chose specifically because this will be the car that I probably use every day, in combination with the Golf, which I get great pleasure out of as well. And I suppose the major difference between the Golf R and the GT4 is what I'm looking at now, and I hope you're seeing too, is the manual gearbox. I mean, not something that I thought was particularly sensible in southeast England, because I'm sure you spend a lot of time in traffic, and I'm up in London a lot, so I thought this car would be a bit impractical. But I've done quite a few trips up to London in it now, and I've been very impressed. I mean, the clutch is a bit heavy, but nevertheless it's a nice car to drive in traffic. It's not difficult. It's very short selection of gears, so you literally, that's first and that's second. It's really beautiful, short shift box, and absolutely tactile to use. Really enjoy that. This one also has heated seats. It's obviously got 2-zone climate control. I know I go on about this a lot, and some of you have commented on it, but I love the steering wheel. And this is genuinely the 918 steering wheel. I used to say that about the Macan Turbo, but actually this is the same diameter as the 918, which and there's nothing there that on the steering wheel that gets in the way of the driving focus that you need for a car like this. And I have said on a number of occasions that I think the power in this car is about right for the road. And on the road, for me and somebody of my driving capability, I think 380 brake horsepower is enough. And Andreas Preninja from Porsche's GT business has said that 380 is a conservative number. So I think you probably find that the GT4 was actually managing more like 400, certainly 395 of that ilk. Now, what else inside? There's obviously Alcantara on the side parts here, and the roof is all Alcantara. I do like the seats. I find the seats very comfortable, and I think as a compromise for everyday use, as I think I was going on to say earlier, I think they make a sensible choice. Not to say that the bucket seats are uncomfortable. They're not. They're very comfortable. But I think I said in one of my written reports on the car, which went with the first video I did, the slight problem with the bucket seats is they're not that easy to get in and out of. I mean, not difficult, but not that easy. And also, I think because they don't recline, sometimes on a long journey, it can be nice to move the chair around a bit, which obviously you can do with these chairs, but you can't do with the buckets because they have a fixed back. Okay, guys, well, this was just a sort of a quick impromptu video that I wanted to put out now the car's at home, and I'm looking forward to getting it out on the road and doing a couple of trips with it. That should be awesome. I actually, funnily enough, I said in one of my reports that I hadn't quite got used to the door opening grab handles. I mean, obviously the real weight that they save is pretty marginal, but I've actually got used to them now, and I think they're rather smart. Okay, that's Ian from SS8000 Cars signing off. Please make sure you subscribe, and catch you up with the next video. Thanks.